Holy shit. I've got who? I've got Scotty Anarchy tonight. We are two. This is the second of 5 interviews back to back to back to back to back to back 5 times. That's right. If I could do a spinneroonie, I would right now because this is stirring the pot with Don Kincaid and my very special guest, Scotty Anarchy. Holy crap. Thanks for spending the time with us today, man.
Thanks for having me on board.
Yeah, we were having some technical issues. We are good, back and forth, audio, video, all of that good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, because I'm not that bright. We all know that, so we just got to make sure.
Neither am I.
Hey, at least we can admit it. What the hell?
Yeah, absolutely.
So basically, this is just like a couple of guys hanging out, talking wrestling, talking, in this specific case, a little Crossing Rubicon. If you boys and girls don't know about Crossing Rubicon, we get to introduce maybe your character in wrestling because you've kind of dove back in. We can maybe mix some of that up. So it's just kind of a couple guys hanging out, talking Scotty Anarchy for, if you can stomach me past maybe like 30 minutes or so, we'll see where it goes. I mean, so what I'd like to do is start with the music stuff because I've known you previously to the wrestling, and now we've had an interview one time. You wouldn't tell me your address. Yourself and Just Incredible made me drive to a park in the rain, quite chilly. I'm a skinny guy, but I went anyways, and we had a blast. So what I'd like to talk about is this Crossing Rubicon thing you've got going on, man. It's been full steam ahead. And for the boys and girls that don't know, look it up on the face page, Crossing Rubicon, the YouTubes and the Twitter and all of that good stuff. Scotty will tell us how to get there later on. Give us a little insight of Crossing Rubicon. I'm kind of very curious on the history of Crossing Rubicon because you are the only guy, well, now besides Jeannie, that I know. So could you fill us in on that?
Yeah, I mean, Crossing Rubicon is actually celebrating our 10-year anniversary this year. I'm just turning my light on so you can see my pretty quarantine bearded face a little bit better. Yeah, we're actually we're celebrating our 10-year anniversary in quarantine right now. Band started 10 years ago. 2009, we kind of started to get together and write and stuff, and then it wasn't until 2010 we played our first show. But we figured that's kind of the time where you officially become a band. You're not really a band unless you're like playing, so I figured that's a good time to kind of kick it off. So band started about 10 years ago. I had kind of given up on music and entertaining altogether. I had a career. I was making lots and lots and lots of money, and I was completely miserable. And I was like, I just kind of felt a little dead inside because I wasn't doing what I wanted to do. And I started, writing and got together with a friend of mine. Him and I started writing some songs. And eventually we started playing shows, and we started playing more shows, and it started to take a little bit of a turn on my career. Like I was using my vacation time to do like little weekend runs and little tours and play festival shows. And I was working for a company that really didn't like me even taking my own vacation time. So it started to get to be like, all right, now I'm like weird stuff, like sneaking out early to do a show and then, coming back before nobody would notice. Sometimes putting my eyeliner on in the car on the way there, which is definitely a chore. We started, I kind of had to make a decision. I left my career. I took on other jobs to kind of keep a living. I'm now a bartender and a waiter, which I love to do because my old career was I was the director of a restaurant group, and I love the restaurant business. So that being said, things had happened where we released our first record, No Less Than Everything, in 2016, and then we released our follow-up, Seeing Red, in 2019. And, we've toured most of the country, which, I want to get the rest of it done for this record. We definitely had some tour plans for the post-release of the album. One of them had to get canceled for reasons outside of this coronavirus, and a second one because of the coronavirus outbreak. So right now, we're just kind of getting our game plan ready to hit the ground running after we're all back into the real world again. Possibly going to be doing. We do a lot. I take a lot of pride in my music videos because having a theatrical background and a music background, it's kind of where I get to still play a little bit into my acting chops a little bit. And I also like to get off kind of doing like the writing and kind of getting a little bit more hands-on with the behind the camera stuff when it comes to that. Seeing Red was the music video we did with Battlefront Pro Wrestling. My cat's invading. And this little guy's ignored me for the last 2 days because I took him to the vet and he's been pissed off at me. And of course, now that you got me on a Skype interview, he's gonna stick his face. Right, Galileo?
Galileo. I was just gonna ask. That's your cat's name, Galileo?
He is Galileo, Figaro, Magnifico, Wawrzyniak. And then our other cat is Ziggy Starbucks, Wawrzyniak. Basically, so Galileo is the Freddie Mercury and Ziggy is the David Bowie. We have the Under Pressure duo.
When you call for Galileo, do you do the whole extended name?
It's funny because we were listening to A Night at the Opera once, and he responds to the Galileo. He actually kind of was like, "What the hell? Somebody else is calling my name. It's not my mom or my dad."
That's hilarious. Oh my God. Oh man.
I have some. So we did the So basically I want to do it's dicey, where everything, music and wrestling included. It's kind of like in a situation where we don't really know when we can actually perform in front of people again. I did like a little bit of a webcam acoustic thing last week or the week before, just to do something. Can I tell you something? I played in front of 4 people. I played in front of 10,000 people. Nothing was more intimidating than playing in front of a cell phone camera to the wonderful world of Facebook.
Because you just don't know.
No, fortunately, it went over well. But I mean, you can't even come out and be like, "Hey, I really like that new Star Trek TV show," without 7,500 people telling you what an idiot you are. At least when you go and play in front of a live audience, they can throw shit at you, but usually security will take them out. But so basically nobody really knows when this thing is going to be safe to book stuff, and it's kind of weird because you want to book a tour. That's something that's got to be done like 6 months in advance. So when we're all allowed back into the real world again, there's probably going to be a period of time where live shows are going to have to be rebooked. And so kind of getting ready with that. And right now I'm putting my ducks in a row to do another music video, kick off a single from Seeing Red, and kind of put together like a 10-year anniversary tour, some festival shows, kick off one last single, and pretty much finish the album cycle for Seeing Red and get to work on another record. That's kind of what I want to do.
Could you share with the fans what that single could possibly be going to be given?
It's not that I'm hiding for anything. It's going to be a question of logistics of the video. I really, 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 really want to do a music video for our song "We Will Rise," which is the first track on the album. Ironically, I'm not a prophet, but I mean the song is pretty much about it's about a zombie apocalypse post a plague. So it's kind of like I wanted to do the video long before this thing ever happened. And I think that kind of coming out of our shell and kind of coming out and doing this again, it's almost fitting, but it was a video that I had under consideration for a long time before this ever happened. The problem was it's going to be a very, 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 very expensive video to make. We are basically going to be doing like Michael Jackson's Thriller, but an R-rated version.
Wow.
So doing like full-on horror movie, blood, guts, sex, you name it. It's going to be not for kids. It's going to be. I want to get a lot of people in the Battlefront family involved in it again. I mean, it's actually based on a comic book called The Blackest Night. It's a Green Lantern book where every dead superhero from the past that comes back to life as a zombie. So it's like there's like a zombie version of Superman and Batman, you know, you name it. You're out of the box on this video right here, because the last one, and I heard 2 notifications come in. Please don't hurt. We all know I'm not that bright. Again, please let me turn my stuff off, okay? Thank you. Oh my God, thank you. So anywho, seeing red was really fun. You interjected, if you will, the fan base into that video. Just Incredible comes in at the tail end. It was really cool. It was a little documentary kind of feel at the very beginning. You know, he's walking in and all. What a cool setup. I love that whole thing. But now, this is the flip side. Like you said, expensive and time-consuming, because you've got this whole artistry thing coming out right now, and it sounds pretty involved. I hope that I can deliver, you know, like what's in here visually in a way that'll really, you know, it's an exciting song too. I have friends of mine that have studied, and it's like, I'm not, you know, there's no such thing as a rich musician anymore. There's, you know, like there are people that I'm working with. A lot of them are friends. One of them, you know, studied with Tony Savini, the guy that did his horror school, where they teach like special effects and stuff like that, and like giving people like that the reins to kind of be like, you know, make me zombies and make me blood curdling special effects and stuff like that, and then getting a director who specializes in doing classic style horror video. And I told him I really kind of wanted to do like a grindcore style 1970s, like, you know, blood exploitation film type music video.
I can't wait. Holy crap, that sounds pretty cool, man. That is going to be because not taking away from any other of the tracks. That one and number 2, some of my faves on that album, you know. That's a fun album. That you gave us, the fans, that material, because you've incorporated into different things. Like you went into Test of Strength. You guys jammed that Tazrax inside the ring live. That was fucking cool. I really enjoyed that. Now, when you guys get in there, different scene, you're not on the stage. There's not people in front of you, per se. We were around like where the ring was, and it was a cool setting, but was that like much different than just getting up on the stage and setting up?
Not really. I think you talk about the Tazrax show.
Yeah.
It was just a great vibe. I mean, I don't know. It's one of those things where I think wrestling fans and heavy metal fans kind of have a little bit of that. You know, we're not afraid to get our hands dirty. And I think, you know, I think it was it was almost like I liked being surrounded and having to play to 4 corners. You know, when I did theater in the round. I was used to it. So when I played on a front, flat-faced stage for the first time, I'm kind of like, wait, there's nothing behind me? You know, in wrestling, when you wrestle, you play to the round all the time. I mean, you definitely have to keep your wits about you where hard cam is. But, you know, like you're still playing for all the people, you know, behind you as in front of you. So the one thing that was crazy is we didn't have monitoring, so it was very fucking loud. That's one thing I'll remember. There were some people that were just like, and then for the most part, it was just, it was a great time.
My dad started in the room. You guys really kicked off hard, you know, song number 1. I think he sat in there for number 1. You guys started song number 2. my old man was outside for a little bit, getting some air, checking the scene out there. He was like, "Ooh, that's a little bit tough in there." I go, "Dad, if you're too old, or if it's too loud, you're too old." And here you are, you're outside. I was inside. It was cool, man. I dug
We
that
had
vibe.
because it wasn't monitored and because it wasn't the drum kit wasn't mic'd, we
Mm,
were kind of a slave to the volume of the drum set, and there was
right.
no way around it. Like there was no way you could not have it be like loud. You know, you're in a
Because
small room.
yeah, when you play guitar, you got to hear your shit. And I know
Yeah.
some guitar players are loud, but you have to adjust to what's going on around you, with everybody. So, especially that drum kit, you really got to pump it up sometimes. But
Mhm.
man, and speaking of drummers, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, because I that right. Mike Clemente is that how you pronounce his name? Mike Clemente,
Yes.
correct? Newest addition, if you will, to Crossing Rubicon. Got a small. Me and him have talked for quite some time over at that little metal fest. That oh my god, never mind little. That place was fucking insane. Over at Cherry Street, that metal fest,
Yeah.
and me and him got to
Street's
talking
awesome.
for about 20. Yeah, and we're shooting his shit, and man, what a cool dude, and what a great addition to Crossing Rubicon. Can you give us a little something on Mike Clemente, because he's a really cool guy, man.
Oh, he's great. Actually, it was funny because I met him a couple years ago, and I went to Guitar Center. I was looking for a guitar at the time, and he was really helpful to me, like really went above and beyond. And I was like, dude, thank you so much. He's like, no, he's like, you always took good care of my parents when they come into your restaurant. I'm like, and then he told me who his parents were, and I'm like, oh, like, so I immediately was like, he's a really nice guy. Like I mean, you got to get along with people to play with them in the first place. And he was just so real. And he told me about his playing style, and he's actually more of a punk style drummer, which I'm more of a punk musician. So I kind of was like, ooh. And everybody else I've ever played with, metal, 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 and I love heavy metal too. But I always wanted to have a little bit more of an edge to it, kind of going, and him and I hit it off right away. I'm a big Misfits fan. He's got a Misfits tattoo. It was like this is, match made in heaven. And the stuff that he does, as far as a drummer goes, he plays stuff faster with one foot that most guys can't do with two. Like, he'll do the double bass thing, but most of the time he doesn't because he's just doing it with one foot. It's like,
Wow.
man, I can't. It's almost like getting a sports car. You just can't wait to open it up and see how far you can really push it. I'm I'm blessed with working with great musicians. That's through the years I've worked with plenty of great musicians. The incarnation of Rubicon now is probably the greatest musicians I could ever work with. Mike, as far as a drummer, Zach is my rock. As far as rhythm and lead guitar, songwriter, kind of heart. He's very. Him and I are kind of doing like the most when it comes to like writing. And he's been with me since day one. And then Patrick Humphrey, who is my other lead guitar player, he is the most ridiculous musician I've ever played with. I see these people that I look up to and are like, man, could you imagine playing with somebody like that? And then I play with Patrick, and they pale in comparison. I was helping a friend of mine move out of a studio once, and Patrick came to help us. And the guy had a didgeridoo, which is this Australian,
Yeah.
yeah. And they pick it up, and the guy's like, I never really learned how to play it. And then I go, $5 says Patrick can play it. $10 says he's amazing at it. And sure enough, Patrick picks it up, goes right into it.
Oh. He
The guy
picked
played
right
like
up.
75 instruments.
Holy shit, man!
I know. And he's into Viking metal and Nordic stuff, and I'm like, ooh, I can't wait to tap him. So when he brings new stuff to the table, I swear to God, he's brought a riff in to write a song, and we've had a complete song written in like 15 minutes because he just goes right to, And then Jeannie on bass, she's my favorite bass player, so much so I married her.
Well, you guys look like on stage. You guys look like you're having an amazing time, and that's really, if it's wrestling, if it's music, and like you've said, and I say a lot on these interviews, music and wrestling are so damn similar to one another. It's just uncanny.
Yeah.
So if you're not having fun, man, it shows on stage, it shows in the ring. But my point being is, you guys look like you're having an amazing time on the stages, man.
Oh, we were having a blast. Absolutely. Same with
Now,
wrestling. I mean, you can't have fun
yeah,
wrestling. You got something wrong with you.
yeah. No, I mean, for sure, you got. I mean, we're all fans of wrestling. How can you not, have fun in there? Now speaking of, now I haven't seen Crossing Rubicon only a handful of times at best. So it was like the bleachers kind of thing, and then a couple times I've seen you at that Metal Fest out in Cherry Street Station in Wallingford. Now the outdoor thing is a total different animal. The way the monitors are, the way the crowd is, the way the ambiance is, the way the acoustics are, because they get all lost. And things are so much different. Is there a preference, or do you enjoy one more than the other?
Um, as long as I got one person to play in front of, I'm always happy. So, I mean, it's cool to play outside once in a while because you don't do it as often. I like playing playing a summer festival in general is always a blast. We usually have some great ones up at Fett Music Hall. We've done one in Chicago. We've done one in Detroit. And I always like playing festivals. For fans of musicians that go to see festivals, sometimes it can be a lot to take in, because you've got we played Dirt Fest, and man, there was like 30 bands that day. So, and I remember it was cool because we played Hatebreed was on that festival, and I'm a huge Hatebreed fan. And we did an interview with iRock Radio. And while we're doing the interview with iRock Radio, they're like, is there any bands that you're really looking forward to? And I'm like, well, I'm a Connecticut guy, and fuck everybody else. I can't wait to see Hatebreed again. And it's funny because, Wayne from Hatebreed comes up to me when he sees me at the festival. Hey, Scott, thanks for the shout out. But the funny thing is we played the same time as them. Like, we played like 5 minutes before them on another stage. So as soon as we got done with the set, I told the band, I'm like, can you guys handle the gear today? Because I want to catch some Hatebreed. I literally ran and went to go see Hatebreed. It definitely kind of the walk of shame, eyeliner dripping, just covered in sweat, holding my high heels. So I like playing the outside shows a lot. I don't know if I like it better. I just think I do it less than playing in, closed in clubs, so it's a change of pace.
Yeah, that's got to be kind of a surreal moment, though, for somebody, for a band that you really dig, and you're at this huge festival. You're in a different state, or what was it? Was it in Connecticut? The Metal?
That was
Where
Detroit.
was that located? Oh, Detroit. And I mean, that's got to be just a surreal moment for you to be able to be in the same environment and then just go up and still be part of the show as a fan, all in the same kind of token.
I'm always a fan. I think there are bands in Connecticut. There are Connecticut bands that I play with that I get just as excited. We play with Motley Crue. After you do that, I still get as excited playing with a band like Continuum, that musicians that I love and I'm very good friends with, than I am when I play with a Motley Crue or something. It's never better or less. It's always just a different experience. It's the musicianship. It's how people present themselves on stage. Right. I'll say, I mean, Hatebreed's the real deal. There's bands out there that are, I guess the only thing that I don't get excited about is when bands have, are faking it on stage. I will never, ever, ever. I mean, wrestling is as real as professional football. I think in some ways it's even more real than professional football. And I will stand up for the art and the sport of wrestling all day long. And yet there are some bands bands that are other people write their material. They're lip syncing on stage, they're playing the backing tracks. That's the stuff when you kind of see and you're kind of like, that's the only thing that leaves a sour taste in my mouth.
Yeah. because you want the authenticity of it. I mean, with all of that fucking, fluff on top of it, I mean, what's the point?
Yeah. I seen singers in their 70s killing it for a 2.5 hour show, and you got guys in their 30s that have to sing the backing tracks for a 25-minute set. Really?
So the tenure of Crossing Rubicon, has it always been original material from day one?
Yeah, we've had a couple of covers that we did in the beginning, and it wasn't even to fill in space. It was just to kind of come up with something different to throw to the crowd. But I think I'm the guy that joined cover bands in the past thinking that I would eventually do covers with that band, and it never happened. So I kind of had to, and I didn't realize that there's two different mindsets. And Rubicon was coming out from writing right out of the gate. I was, like I said before, with my career and where I was in my life, I was depressed. I was not in a good place. I was doing a lot of writing, and it was cathartic to me. And that's where Crossing Rubicon came from, the name, because it's, technically Shakespeare, Julius Caesar. Crossing the Rubicon means passing the point of no return. And a lot of what I was writing about was a personal confession and talking about some of the things I've done that I wasn't necessarily proud of. And maybe it wasn't I'm not preaching to people. I'm basically I think I felt like I was releasing material, be like, you know what, you're a shithead, I'm a shithead. At least we can relate that way. If you go on a high horse and think that you're better than other people, then I really don't think you could ever connect with other people. And I felt that I was big enough of a douchebag that other people could actually relate to me. And, and then like people do, and like people hear stuff that I wrote and write back to me and send me messages that like, oh, thank you, this song helped me when I was dealing with this or this or this. And I swear, if I was, hey, everything is great, life is wonderful, I'm here to tell you guys about this, I'm just like this pastor coming in to tell this great story for you, people wouldn't relate to it that way. I mean, dealing with my own personal addictions and just relationships in the past, it was just kind of like that was crossing the Rubicon, because I was confessing. And I feel that even people didn't relate to exactly what I was saying, but it was giving them something that they related to. And I think that's the best thing about it. No, nothing is worse than when a singer tells you exactly what a song is about.
But that's what music fans really invest into the music for, is to get those messages that it's real life, and those words that we're hearing on top of the music is actually meaning something, not to only you, but once they hear those words and how it's projected from you, we get that shit. Just like wrestling, we get what you're trying to portray to us, and some of it is very awe-inspiring. So having people reach out, man, I think that's really kind of, and you do it for yourself because you want to heal yourself and you want to get your message across, but getting it to the people that really fucking get it has got to be one of those greatest experiences as a musician.
They almost don't even need to get it, they just need to get something out of it. It's kind of like that, where it's almost like I had somebody like, hey, this song helped me with this. I'm like, wow, that song's nothing about that. And then it's like, I need to shut up. Be like, wait a minute, you know what? No, it's exactly about that. It's like,
yeah, exactly. Take from it what you will.
Yeah, I was seeing somebody in a relationship once that they actually wrote one of my lyrics back to me in like this, and I'm like, you do know that song is about my drug addiction, right? Like, had nothing to do with what you think it is, but it wasn't the right person for me. I appreciate them looking into the lyrics,
but so now you've taken the music and you've kind of jumped into the wrestling thing. Now, one thing that I've been curious about is, where did Scotty come from in the wrestling thing? Because I never even knew that about you. Then all of a sudden, you're popping up in Battlefront and you're going to be getting yourself involved in some stuff. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's the dude from Crossing Rubicon. What the hell is going on? What is your wrestling background? Share with the fans.
I trained under, I trained 20 years ago. I trained with Jason Knight at the House of Pain Dojo in Waterbury. And I did some indie wrestling. I I did pretty well. Like I didn't, it was kind of like one of those things where like, and I will say this, the wrestling business as a whole is so much different 20 years ago than it is now.
Mhm.
I said my back 20 years ago when I was getting into wrestling, my father was telling me, I was raised in a wrestling family. My father was a big fan. I had a great uncle that wrestled. His name was Dick Pollock, and he wrestled in the Western New York territories. And it was funny because when the wrestlers would come into town, my grandmother would house the wrestlers and feed them
Oh,
and
no
give them
shit.
breakfast. And what's really cool was it was like 20 years later, my grandmother passed away, and all these wrestlers showed up at her funeral.
Oh, wow.
And they hadn't been involved in the business at least for 15 to 20 years at that point, but they flew from all over the country to come and see her, be there for her funeral. So I was raised in that, definitely, raised in wrestling. I had this dream of becoming a professional wrestler, but I was also a musician. And my father said to me, he's like, I love wrestling, and I would never tell you to not do what you don't want to do. But the
Mhm.
music industry is probably a better bet financially than wrestling. That was back in 2000. No, 1999. I'm sorry. Fast forward to now, the wrestling industry is probably a hell of a lot better than the music industry to get involved in. There are so many different. It's weird because after the WWE monopoly in the early 2000s, and now you're seeing like all these different splinter groups showing up that are actually there's a lot of places to go with wrestling, and wrestling is hotter than ever.
Mhm.
So I got out of wrestling because of a situation that happened where I was told to hurt somebody in a ring one time. And at the time, they were training my brother. Actually, they were not even charging my brother to train him because they thought that after I had gone to the school, that they thought that he was like, wow, he's got a almost twin brother. They were like, this is such a good commodity that we just we'll train him for whatever, pay us what you can. You never hear a wrestling school say that, but they were really behind us, and it was really cool. And I was told by somebody that I looked up to and respected that somebody did a bad thing to somebody else, and they wanted me to take care of them. And after that, I was hyped up about it because you're like, I'm going places. I'm going to do something with this. And as soon as I did what I did, I really regretted it. And I left wrestling in 2000, and I couldn't. I hated wrestling. I wouldn't watch wrestling. I could not. I just the last thing I ever wanted to do. And at the time, I had been friends with Justin Credible. Later on, when he was released from WWE, I gave him a job working for me in my restaurant, and him and I were friends. Things went really well in the beginning, but they didn't end that way, and we had a falling out. So fast forward, it was 10 years I didn't talk to him, and I would hear from other people that he was not doing well, or things were like. And then I'm hearing press about him, people talking about what a horrible person he is, and I'm like, I know that guy, and even though we haven't talked in 10 years, I could not say a bad thing about him. I felt that I had hurt him, and actually, the last thing he ever did to me before we ever talked, he sent me a picture of him and Ric Flair holding up a sign saying, "Scott, fuck you." And the only way that could have hurt anymore is if it was with Bret Hart. I mean, like, seriously, he went right to the top. 10 years later, he told me, dude, it was a joke. And I'm like, I didn't talk to you for 10 days. Long story short, way too late, I know. I wrote this song about people being critical of me as a musician and my band, and kind of releasing my second album, basically saying, well, where are you then right now? Like, where are you? Like, I'm going to do this no matter what. And we took a lot of heat when we first dropped our first record. Multiple death threats. I won't tell you what my nickname in some metal circles was. It was not pleasant. I actually went to therapy over it for a little while, and I started realizing, like, people just, I pissed off a musician that had a lot more fans than I did, and he basically sent them after me, and it was pretty bad. I had every right to piss this guy off. He was kind of a douchebag. and he said some really nasty stuff about my wife. So I went at him. He lip syncs on stage, so I called him out for that, and things like that. And are you still there?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm listening. I'm listening.
Talking. So long
That's
story
okay.
short, I got over my issues. I was writing the song about my situation, and I'm seeing this stuff happen to Just Incredible, and I'm like, these people have no idea the person he really is. And that being said, I kind of felt that song, like I said earlier, about songs necessarily not being about certain things, but relating to certain things.
Mm-hmm.
I can relate this song to his life and what he's going through. And if we told the story in a music video about that song, using that song to tell his story, because I'm already transferring my life story to his life story, we tell that story and make a docu-film out of it. Other people might see that and get something else out of it. You know, fuck all the naysayers. I'm going to do what I want to do with my life, and no one's going to tell me differently. And, you know, like, just, you know, I'm pissed at the world, and I'm going to take that anger and I'm going to use it to better myself. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the story I was trying to get with that. And wrestling, music is a metaphor for life, but so is wrestling. And even though it might not be the good guy always saving the girl on the train tracks, but there's always the good guy, bad guy thing. There's always the overcoming great odds. There's the underdog story, and kind of using the Just Incredible story to tell that underdog story in a music video. In the meantime, we decided to have some fun with our announcement, and I get jumped, and somebody makes a comment. They're like, "Where did you learn how to bump like that?" And I'm like, "I used to wrestle." And then it turned into, "Hey, would you ever want to do a match?" And I'm like, yeah. and then my nephew's all into wrestling. I had to buy him an action figure, and I'm like, you guys know I hate wrestling, right? And then I'm like, no, actually, I really love wrestling. It's just been a while, so it was really nice to come back. I'm looking forward to doing more stuff in the future. I definitely need a lot more training. I mean, it was like Ryan Frost and I had a great match, and I think I'm capable of doing more than that, but unless I was going to tell that same story over and over again, I would definitely need to get more training. I'm not doing any somersault senton bombs off the top rope just now, which was my old move. So.
Wow. So when you come in to Battlefront and to go against this, the storyline you built with Ryan Frost and the video, I'm going to start there first because the video was cool. How he gets out of the car, he's walking up, he's talking in the background, he's kind of giving us a feel of how he's actually feeling, and it's not really a comeback, it's just doing his thing that he loves to do. And then all of a sudden the video kicks in, the crowd's there, your guys are doing your thing in the ring, and then at the tail end, Just Incredible comes out. And everybody's like, fuck yeah. He comes out, there's a thing in the ring, and at the tail end, you guys are together. He's holding dude, the whole video was fucking tits, man. I loved it, man. I couldn't wait till it was finished.
I will say that video is the greatest thing I've ever, the thing I am most proudest of. Again, it was the stellar storytelling. I think it told a very real story. I felt like, in a way, I was sticking up for my friend, but being part of this video, he was sticking up for me. You know, I felt there was something people could relate to. And what you say about the crowd was very important. We did check out other indie wrestling feds, and Battlefront had the best audience. They had the best crowd. And when I say not in just numbers, but in just fervency and excitement, and they really got behind that. And I kind of needed to tap into that energy to really, I mean, it's the crowd plays as big of a part in that music video that Rubicon does and Just Incredible does, and even more so than what Ryan Frost does. See what I did there?
I see what you did there. Transition. Now let's talk about one Ryan effing Frost, if you will, because you guys built a storyline that was really fun for us. I don't know how fun it was for you because you didn't really come out on the winning end of all of that, but take us on a journey how that was built, because man, that was fun AF, as the kids would say.
Well, you were part of it too.
I know, I know, but you know, the fans that weren't there or haven't been able to see that or don't even know who the the F Scotty Anarchy is we introduce you to new people. We hope that we can get a little reach out on. And, and for the ones that do know, the fans that were at Battlefront, maybe we could take them just on a small journey of how that match was built up.
Well, Ryan Frost and I are friends, or were friends since childhood. He was like a brother to me. We used to backyard wrestle together back in the day. And it was great because I was always more of a fan of the technical side of wrestling, and he was an amateur wrestler. So he taught me a lot as far as amateur wrestling goes. So when I made the jump to go to wrestling school, I kind of was a little bit better at certain things than a lot of the other guys that just backyard wrestled, because I learned, a lot from Ryan. And then when I was going to school, I was able to talk to Ryan, and he pretty much, I was like, hey, this is how they do it in professional wrestling. Like, this is, so it was we kind of helped each other out. And there was a little bit of this, I'm going to do this music video. I mean, Ryan Frost also was involved in the Connecticut metal scene as well. Nowhere near as successful as most people, though. And what happened was when I dropped this music video idea, he was jealous that he wasn't going to be a part of it. So he attacked me. And, I was trying to, eventually it was recommended, hey, well, Scott knows how to wrestle, Ryan knows how to wrestle, let's put them in a match together. He did jump me in a parking lot at Cherry Street. After a couple months, I kind of had to I was like, all right, fine, I'll wrestle this guy. The match didn't go my way, but I keep looking back at that sharpshooter. And if I was another 6 inches away from the rope when I applied it, I might have had him at that point. For a guy that hasn't wrestled in 20 years to get that close to somebody and almost beat him is a little hard to live with. And I got my video done. I'll get back in the ring with Ryan Frost at some point.
Interesting. I think we heard it first right here, because we want to see what the hell can really come out of this whole thing. So now a little snippet that you kind of forgot, and I'm just going to throw it out there. Your wife got whacked in the back with a kendo stick from one Ryan Frost right in the midst of this whole storyline. First off, I don't know how she could even take something like that, why she would want to get in the ring. And second off, you know what? Just why? Why? I don't get it.
My wife is not a shrieking violet. My wife is definitely somebody that doesn't mind getting her hands dirty. At the time when Ryan Frost was going to hurt me, she protected me in the ring, and she got hurt. When the time comes that I'm going to get my comeuppance on Ryan Frost, she's definitely going to have something to do with it as well.
Ooh, I would love to see that, and I know everybody else will. Wait, I didn't mean that, Ryan Frost. I swear I did not mean that at all.
She's sworn that. I hear about the kendo stick thing once in a while, and she's going to get the better of Ryan Frost at some point.
Ooh,
she's definitely
that's going to be fun, because we like to see shit like that go down. We want the heroes, the baby faces. We want to see them get those comeuppance on those bad guys. We like that shit.
Yeah, she's going to give him a good swift kick in the balls at some point.
Woo! Ow! That sounds crazy. I don't want no part of it. I want to see it, but I don't want no part of it. So now where we're at, it's a big question mark. We don't know when normalcy will start. We have no clue what the F is going to go on. But you've already mentioned you've got some shit in the works for Crossing Rubicon. You're talking about getting back in the ring with Ryan Frost. You're going to continue both, maybe for a little bit. How does that fit in Scotty Anarchy's situation?
Right now, I definitely have to put some more focus on Rubicon. We've done some regime changes as far as management, and as far as what our game plan is going to be once we get out of this. And we were with Pavement for the last album release, and it didn't really work out well. And we're with Imminence now, but we paid for this whole record ourselves, and we need to we need to recoup some of that money, and we need to get on the road and start playing in front of people. When the time comes, that's got to be priority. Like we spend more money on this album than most people spend on their car. So we had all the right people. We were shooting big for this, and it's not done because, like I said, we're gonna produce a pretty insane music video as soon as we can start seeing people again. I'd love to have you in it, by the way.
Dude, I'm actually flattered and honored at the same time. Holy shit, that's awesome.
Yeah, we're gonna have a lot of people involved with Battlefront and other involved that want to be involved. It's gonna be fun.
If there's anything that I could play because I'm built like a candle, it's a ghoul or a zombie. I mean, come on, look at me. I'm built to do that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I have to get all my ducks in a row for that, so that's gonna be like the next step.
Yeah. Man, that is going to be a good time. I can't wait to see the creativity that comes out of this whole thing and I want to touch upon this because it's very, very cool. For you guys and girls that have never seen this, Rubicon, the cover itself, if you get this snazzy little app, you can do some cool little, I don't even know what the hell was going on with the whole technological thing there. Give us the fans a little ride on what the hell you did with your album cover.
Actually, it's currently, the app itself still exists, but right now we had to cut off the service to it. So the only people that downloaded the app up until now can still use it.
Okay.
It's called, I forget the name of the technology, but it's the same technology they use. They have those 99 Crime wine bottles where you download this app and you look at the bottle and there's a criminal on the bottle and the criminal starts talking to you. Give me a second. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but it's an animated technology. We animated the album cover. There's lots of cool hidden messages in the album cover when you watch it through the animation. Kind of, little, Cold War spy type stuff. And just kind of, trying to placate and to relieve some fears that people had about the world in the current time and place when the album was released. So yeah, we were trying to, I think our intention with that was we wanted to me, music is an art form, but so is albums and records. And I kind of want, the music industry has gone down this one direction and it's dying. Like, I don't see the music industry surviving as a business any longer. And I'm not sad by it. I think a lot of times the music industry kind of shot themselves in the foot through not embracing the digital download and the iPhone and all that stuff when it first came, and said they fought it. And it's hurt the value of art. And people nowadays, if they can stream it for free or they can bootleg it illegally, they'll do that instead of spending. I mean, you go into iTunes and you can stream an album for free for your $10 a month service, or you can buy the album for $10. What are you going to do? And you're going to just stream it. There is some things that you're going to purchase and put on your phone itself so you can keep it just in case the world ends or iTunes blows up and they don't have access to these records anymore. But for the most part, you're just going to stream it. And when you think, people are like, well, why am I going to spend? And this goes to any art form as a whole nowadays. You're working at a show, people are like, well, why do I have to pay a $5 cover? And it's like, well, because that goes towards the entertainment that you're coming. Oh, I'm not here to see the entertainment. You know what? There's bands that are going to come. Like, people have so lost any kind of value for any art form whatsoever. If you can't get it for free, what's the point anymore? So I kind of wanted to make purchasing the album physically something a little bit more special. And something that, and I think we'll do something to try to get that app up and running again. Like I said, if you have the app, you can still use all the animated features on it. I wanted to do the album in vinyl, but that's really expensive. Like, that's, it's a chunk but people that are buying music nowadays are buying vinyl. vinyl is the highest paid for means that people will purchase music from now. So I wanted to do that, but we're talking 5, 6, 8. Actually, no. I think it's like 15 times the price to press a vinyl record than it is to press a CD.
Wow.
So it's So it's still a consideration. Seeing Red, I think we recorded the album in a way that we wanted it to be like a record. We didn't want it to be like, modern day recording, because they have no faith in the full length album anymore. Every band will drop a single, and they'll put like the first 4 songs on the record are all your singles, and then there's a bunch of filler. They might throw another song towards the end that might be somewhat interesting, and then they just then that's the end of the record. I wanted to keep everybody guessing and make it a very interesting record from beginning, middle, to the end.
Well, no, that's cool, because you bring up a very valid point, and I'm going to use Skid Row as as the first example, because they are doing it their way. Now, Snake is obviously the last Skid Row, if you will. I don't know how to put it, but for a couple years straight, he would release 2 albums a year. One would be at the beginning, one would be at the middle. They were both 7-song EPs. He said, like what you're saying, you wanted to tell a story through the full album, which many want to do, but he didn't find that releasing a full album was where the money was, because you couldn't get those units sold. So he figured he'd do it and chop it. And I found that kind of fucking weird, but I mean, I followed it. I checked out the material still, but I mean, it was just odd.
Yeah. I think everyone's trying to find their way of doing it the best way. And I feel like, if the record industry is dead, or it's dying, I always say the music industry is a country club that's in foreclosure. Everyone's fighting over status, and nobody has any fucking money.
Mm-hmm.
Finding your own way of selling that product and selling your music and selling your art in a way that different than what everybody else is doing. Mm-hmm. So the fact that he does it that way, there's a couple bands that do that way. A lot of I know there's plenty of bands out there that are releasing 3 and 4 song EPs for that same reason. Mm-hmm. It makes sense to me. If I'm going to go and spend, I guess I'd rather spend $20,000 to release a 12-song record as opposed to, $6,000 to release 3 songs. Mm. I think I'd rather go in and set it up. And my mindset is I'd rather, we're recording in tracks in the studio. Once you get the drum set up and the mic set up and everything is, you might as well record the drums for 12 songs. It's like, because you're just going to have to go back, unpack everything, and redo it all over again. So, I kind of like to get to the studio prepared and, we spend a lot of time in the studio. I'm a fan of Queen. I like to overproduce stuff as much as I possibly can and create it live to the best of my ability. There's always the song that you hear in your head, and then there's the song that you can perform live. And I feel like you record the song you hear in your head exactly the way you want it to sound, and then the live thing you try to get as close as possible. And there's almost like a secondary art form in that. And the good bands can do it. Bad bands cannot. I like to be one of the good bands.
Well, yeah, because you want to hear what you hear on the album, you want to hear live, and not everybody produces it that way. They make it so over the top kooky where you need those backtracks and all of that other shit. But like when you're doing so many songs, I'm like, how the fuck did they pull that off live as I'm listening to the new album as it came out? But then I go see you at the Metal Fest, and Jeannie is doing kind of fucking growl shit, and I'm like, wait, what? That's her on the album? Holy shit.
Yeah.
So I mean, you guys are utilizing exactly like you're saying what you hear on the album, you want to hear live. It may not be exactly, like some of the other kind of things that you add in, but dude, like 99% of it, it's just what you hear on the album. You know what I'm saying?
If I can record, and I did, like, the most I ever did was a track called Violet Carson, where I think we did like 36 vocal tracks for this one harmony in the beginning of the song. And we literally did it in a way that we had with 4 people singing it. It sounds not as fat as it does in the album, but you almost, when you're listening to it live, you almost can't tell the difference. And I think that there's something like, that's how Queen used to do it. And you can do it with the backing tracks and all that fluff added in, but to me that just sounds lame. So I'd rather do it with 4 voices trying to sound like 36. Sounds more real to me than listening to all those 36 voices in a backing track. And I think it's kind of like one of those things where, like, because we have 4 people that can sing live and sing on key, I think that makes it possible to do that. And as long as we can do that, I'll do my 36 vocal tracks to make the part sound exactly what I want in my head. And then we could recreate it with, live.
So you couldn't just go with like 17 or 18. You got to go with 36.
Must be 36. I'm going to say 36 because that was the number. The first time I ever recorded a multi-track harmony part, first of all, there's no harmonies in metal music anymore. It's like that, unless you listen to like some of the stuff, like I like Blind Guardian right now. I fucking love them. But like, like having that, I mean, back in the 60s, every single pop rock band from the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, they needed to have multiple singers to sing harmonies. And then it seems like people kind of got away from that. And you just don't hear it from bands anymore, unless you listen to like a boy band or something. And I feel that that's a shame that, so in Rubicon, we always need 3 or 4 solid vocalists in the band.
Well, on the face page, I mentioned when the album first came out, I mentioned, I want to say, I Will Remain, right? Correct? That's now I'm listening to that and I'm like, dude, I am digging this so much. And there was some couple nuances I threw out there, and I even got a couple fans to just check it out just from putting out that one track, because I was all about that. I mean, not, again, no slight to the rest of the album, but that was one that I kind of dig the groove and the way it was built and all of that. And man, you guys are putting together some cool shit. I can't wait to see never mind what the future of more music, but this video alone has got my curiosity so bad.
Mine too. I hope it pans out okay.
Well, I'm glad to see you're doing well through this whole mess. I'm hoping, the rest of the band, everybody's family is good. Galileo is doing very well. We obviously see that. It was nice to be introduced to Galileo. The fans, Galileo, the fans. That was cool. Scott, it was a great time today. I can't appreciate you enough for sitting down, opening up a little bit about crossing Rubicon and talking wrestling. And, it's been a great time. I appreciate it, man.
Oh, thanks, Tom. Appreciate it. I appreciate you having me on board. I mean, literally, I'm going to go back and do more work in my toy room and watch He-Man cartoons. That's all my day is right now. Speaking of which, there's a little ham right here.
Oh my God. I'm so calling this episode Galileo. You are so hit, my friend.
It's Galileo, Figaro, Magnifico, Wawrzyniak.
Okay, do me a favor. If you could message me that, I am so calling that the episode. That the episode is going to be called that.
Okay.
Oh my God, we had such a blast today. This is Stirring the Pot with Don Kincaid and my couple guests. We had Galileo, but my very special guest, one Scotty Anarchy. Thank you so much for your time, brother. It's been awesome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kincaid. As always, always a pleasure.
Oh, thank you, brother.